Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of the Rabbi Speaks. My name is Rabbi Abba Perelmuter. I am the spiritual leader of Congregation Shul by the Shore down here in Belmont Shore, Long Beach, in the greatest state in this union, California. This week, the Jewish people are going to be celebrating a very joyous holiday called Purim. Now you might be wondering, Purim? What about Purim? What about poor me? Sitting here and listening to the rabbi. What's his whole business with Purim? Well, it's a very joyous holiday, and its story took place many, many years ago. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about it because it has an unbelievable moral and ethical end to it. In this story, we're going to meet a number of fascinating characters. It's going to be a story of love and intrigue, of war and hate, and people with nefarious plans. It all makes to one great political story. But at the end, it ends with a very, very high and happy note. So let's get started. Many, many years ago, in the great land of Persia, there lived a very powerful king by the name of Achashverosh. You're not going to have to remember that for the test. Don't worry. This king Achashverosh ruled over 127 lands, from Ethiopia down in Africa to all India, all the way in Asia. He was a very, very powerful king. And to show his power, he decided to throw this most lavish and unbelievable party where he invited all of his subjects to come in. And at this party, no expense was spared. He had everything prepared. Wine, meats, delicacies, cheeses, whatever your heart desired, you can get at Achashverosh's party. For the purpose of this party was to show his strength and his majesty over almost all of the known world. And people from far and wide flocked to Shushan, the capital city of Persia, to participate because they felt very honored to be invited to Achashverosh's ball. Among the people that came were also a number of Jewish people that were spread out throughout Achashverosh's kingdom. And at this party, Achashverosh decided that he is really going to show his strength, and he opened up his vault and he took out from within his vault some precious articles that the former kings of Persia had taken when they destroyed the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. And he had goblets and spoons and forks and knives, and he displayed this once again to show his superiority, that I am Achashverosh, great king of Persia. And now came the climax of the party. It was after many days of drinking, and Achashverosh was a little bit tipsy, and he was feeling really good about himself. He decided he wanted to really show his prized possession. And what was that prized possession that he had in the kingdom? None other than his most beautiful, beautiful queen by the name of Vashti. And he ordered his royal chamberlains to say, go to Vashti and tell her to appear before us, for I want to show her beauty off to the entire kingdom. I want everybody to see what a beautiful queen I, Achashverosh, have. But that night, Vashti was stricken with leprosy, and she had all these pimples all over her body, and she refused to come. And Achashverosh became very angry at her, and he said, I order Vashti to appear before us today. But Vashti refused. So Achashverosh was in a quandary. What should he do? The queen is refusing his order. She's being subordinate. What am I going to do? So his advisors rallied around him, and they said, Achashverosh, you can't allow this to happen. If this is going to be, there's going to be an uprising throughout the entire kingdom. No women will do anything for their husbands. If you allow Vashti to get away with this, you must take strong and immediate action. Justice must be served in the kingdom. But what justice is there? Asked Achashverosh. What should I do with her? She's the queen. So they said, you must hang her to show that she was disobedient towards the king. And you can't do that to Achashverosh. Well, Achashverosh was a little reluctant to do this because he really loved Vashti, and Vashti was a great queen. But his advisors once again reiterated, Achashverosh, you're not only acting for yourself, you're acting for every man here in your kingdom. If you allow Vashti to get away with this, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? No laundry will be done, no shopping will be done, no sewing will be done. And Achashverosh reluctantly allowed his advisors to take hold of the matter, and they hung Vashti. And he put out a notice throughout the entire kingdom that this is the way it's going to be, that the man is the head of the household and he is the boss. Well, a few days later, after he woke up from his drunken stupor and he regained his full consciousness, Achashverosh decided now he doesn't have a queen. What's he to do? A man, a king of 127 countries without a queen? So he called in his advisors and he said, advisors, tell me, what should I do? I hung the queen and now I'm lonely, I have nobody. So they said, you know what, Achashverosh? We're going to throw a beauty contest. Invite every woman from your kingdom to appear before you. Have them come and you will judge. And the most beautiful one, you will appoint the queen and she will sit next to you on your throne. Achashverosh loved this idea. Boy, oh boy, I'm so excited, he said. I'm going to throw a beauty contest. And he put out an order in this royal decree. They went from town to town and they said every girl and woman should come to Shushan immediately and she will be part of this royal pageant. And the one that the king sees fit, that's the one who's going to ascend to the throne of Vashti, and she will be the new queen. Oh, everybody was excited in Persia. Look at this, maybe I'm going to be the queen, maybe I'll be the queen. No, I'm going to be the queen. Every Cinderella was rushing and getting on a horse and a donkey, any way that you could get to Persia. Perhaps, maybe by chance, Achashverosh is going to find you the one, and you are going to be the new queen of the entire kingdom of Persia. Far and wide they came, and Achashverosh sat there day to day and looking at them. You're too small, you're too big, you're too fat, you're too thin. Everyone he rejected. He couldn't find a good queen. Couldn't find a proper queen. This one was too loud, this one was too soft-spoken. No, he wasn't having any luck. Among the girls that came from Shushan to participate in the pageant was a young woman by the name of Esther. Esther was an orphan who was being taken care of by her cousin Mordechai. And Esther was a Jewish girl. And she didn't really want to go to the pageant because she was afraid that this is something foreign to her. She's going to be the queen. She didn't want to do it. But Mordechai encouraged her. He said, you have to go. If everybody goes, you have to go. Just don't tell them anything. Just stand there. And if Achashverosh does, he picks, he doesn't, he doesn't. And as the line kept moving forward, there was Esther moving along the line. And the chamberlains and Achashverosh's assistant found favor. They loved Esther. She was beautiful. So they gave her extra makeup and extra perfume, and they really made her look stunning. And when it was Esther's time to approach Achashverosh, Achashverosh sat there on his big throne with his scepter, and next. And when Esther appeared, he dropped the scepter from his hand. He stood up. He said, that, my friends, is going to be the new queen. Queen Esther, please approach. And she approached, and Achashverosh took the crown that sat on Vashti's head and placed it upon Esther's head. And he appointed Esther to be the new queen of Persia. Esther was dumbfounded. She never expected, it's not in a million years, me, a meek little mouse who never did anything in my life, who came here reluctantly with no chance to win this pageant. I am now have won the royal Persian idol. I am the queen. She couldn't believe it. She was afraid because she never knew how do you become a queen? What do you do as a queen? I don't know. What are the royal duties? But Achashverosh calmed her down. Don't worry. You're okay. We'll take care of you. And Mordechai, her cousin, who was the one that encouraged her to go in the first place, hung around the palace just to keep an eye on her because he knew that she was not wise to the ways of the world. She was sheltered in his own home, so he wanted to make sure that everything went well with her. So he hung around the palace. And one night, as he was sitting around and just observing what was going on, he had heard from a corner two of the king's royal servants, soldiers, were plotting against the king. They wanted to get rid of him. Bigson and Seresh were plotting to poisoned the king that night. Oh my gosh, what was he to do? So he ran quickly to Esther and he said, Esther, you have to do something, because tonight Bixen and Sarish are going to poison the king. They've put something in his wine. You have to tell him. God forbid this is going to happen. So Esther immediately ran and told Achashverosh, don't drink that wine, there's poison. And those two fellows, Bixen and Sarish, they were the ones that plotted against you. Well, the king immediately had them arrested, thrown into prison, and suddenly they were executed. And in the royal book of remembrances, the royal book of those things that happened to the king, it was written, and Mordechai, the Jewish prince, had saved Achashverosh from certain death on this and this day, with the royal seal on it. Now, a new intrigue was taking place. Achashverosh had befriended this fellow by the name of Haman. Haman was a man with great global desires. His appetite for power was unrivaled and unmatched. He wanted everything. And he was very cunning and very sharp, and a shrewd politician. And he somehow worked his way, weaseled his way, wormed his way into the inner circles of Achashverosh's advisors. And on one day, Achashverosh announced, gentlemen, please come forward. I have an announcement to make. And all of his advisors came running and they sat around the royal table. And Achashverosh said, gentlemen, today we have a new prime minister. The prime minister is none other than my good friend Haman. Let's applaud Haman. Hey, Haman is going to be the new prime minister. And Haman, as arrogant as he was before, became doubly and triply more arrogant. And he demanded that as he walked out of the royal palace, everybody was to bow to him. Because I am Haman, none other than the most famous person here in Shushan, second only to King Achashverosh. But there was one fellow who would not bow to Haman. And that fellow was none other than Mordechai HaYehudi. Mordechai, the Jewish person, refused. And why did he refuse? Because Haman had this great big idol hanging from his neck. And Mordechai was a believer in the one and true God up in heaven. So he had refused to bow down to Haman and his idol. And every day as Haman walked in and out of the palace and he saw Mordechai standing there and he refused, he became more infuriated, more angry. And he tried to find out, who is this Mordechai? What is this guy up to? Where is his background and who are his people? And when he found out that Mordechai was a Jew, he decided not only is he going to take revenge on Mordechai, but he's also going to take revenge on the Jewish people. We're going to take a little break. But when we come back, we're going to continue this great story of Purim. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly. Thank you.
Was in another lifetime, one of toil and blood. When blackness was a virtue, the road was full of mud. I came in from the wilderness, a creature void of form. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm.
If we do not take responsibility for saving animals from extinction,
I think so.
we allow a part of ourselves to die with them, because in the web of life,
And if I pass
we are all connected.
you can rest assured.
Help World Wildlife Fund protect animals in the places where they live
Boy,
by ordering a
15
free
minutes
action
goes like
kit.
this.
Together, we can leave our children
Is it
a
good?
living planet.
She said, I'll give ya
It's better than sitting. You're absolutely correct. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We've been discussing the story of Purim, a Jewish holiday that's coming up in the near future. I was telling you about this great king Achashverosh, who had this royal feast. He hung his queen. He looked for a new queen. He appointed Esther to his position of the new queen. Mordechai was her cousin. He kept an eye on her. And then he appointed this fellow Haman. Boo, Haman. And Haman was a very arrogant guy that Mordechai refused to bow down to Haman. And Haman decided that, you know what? He's going to take revenge. Not only is he going to take revenge on Mordechai, but he's also going to take revenge on all of his people, the Jewish people. So one day, as Achashverosh was sitting on his royal throne, And Haman walked into the building, and Achashverosh, may I please approach you? Yes, come on, Haman, come on in. What's on your mind, my friend? And he said, Achashverosh, among your people, there is a distinct group that is very different. Their laws are not our laws. They don't dress like we dress. They're scattered all over the kingdom. Everywhere, they're very different. And Achashverosh said, so you know what? When you have to think people are different, they don't blend into society. They don't assimilate into society. I say, you know what we do with these people? Let's get rid of them. Let's annihilate them. Annihilate them. And you know what? Achashverosh, Haman said, for the honor of annihilating these people, this virus from within the Persian system, I'm going to give you, Achashverosh, 10,000 silver coins. Well, so Achashverosh thinks to himself, one second, we're going to get rid of these people who are different and no one cares about them anyways. And on top of that, he's paying me 10,000 silver coins. It's unbelievable. What a deal. Achashverosh said, absolutely, let's go. Haman, you're on. Congratulations. Take it from here. Oh, Haman was so proud of himself because now he could finally take care of his arch enemy Mordechai, who refused to bow down to him. And not only Mordechai, but he's going to get all the Jews in the land of Persia. So the royal decree goes out and says, on the 14th day of the month of Adar, of the Hebrew month of Adar, we're going to annihilate all Jewish people, children, men, women, and children, everybody on that day. When Mordechai heard of this decree, he became very sad. He rent his clothes and he sat down, he put ashes on his head. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Haman, the powerful prime minister, is gathering all of his armies to destroy us on the 14th day of the month of Adar. What to do? What to do? Mordechai, the leader of the Jewish people, is thinking in his mind, what am I going to do? How am I going to stave off this terrible, terrible tragedy? So the first thing he did is, he gathered together 22,000 children and brought them all together in this huge stadium. And he sat there and he says, children, today we have to pray to the Lord. We have to pray to God to have mercy on us. The wicked Haman wants to destroy us, but we will be victorious if you children just listen to me. And all of them together said, Shema Yisrael, hear, O Israel, the Lord our Lord, the Lord is one. And they prayed hard for God to listen to them, and they beseeched him to have mercy on their souls. Then Mordechai went and he stood in front of the palace and said, I must have an audience with Queen Esther. And the people said, Queen Esther, okay, you're going to speak to Queen Esther. Is she going to come? Calm down, Mordechai. I can't calm down. I'm very nervous. I got a job to do. Don't you know what's going on here in Persia? Haman, the arch enemy of the Jewish people, wants to destroy us. And you're delaying me. Come on, let's go. I want to speak to Esther. And Esther came out and said, Mordechai, what's going on? He says, don't you know? Haman put out a decree with the assent of your husband, the king Achashverosh, to destroy all of us. On one day, they're going to kill us all. You have to go to the king and you have to tell him to stop this. But Esther was reluctant. She said, Mordechai, how can I go to the king? I can't make it to the king. The king doesn't allow us to approach him only once every 30 days. So Mordechai looked at her. He said, Esther, listen to me. Don't you know that you were appointed to be queen? Now I understand why. It's only because you were put in this position to save us. And if you don't save us, you and your household will perish, and God will find another messenger to send in your place. But know that this is your mission in life. Go to Achashverosh. Go to him and tell him, Haman is wicked and we want to be saved, for we did nothing. We are loyal subjects and servants to your husband. So Esther said, yes, Mordechai, I'm going to go right away, but I want you and the Jewish people to fast and to beseech God that my mission should be successful. So pray and fast for the next couple of days. And Esther walked into the chamber where Achashverosh was, and she looked very meekly, and Achashverosh pointed his royal scepter at Esther and said, Esther, what would you like? And she says, King, if it feels good for you, I would like you and Haman to come to a special feast that I am preparing this evening. Me and Haman to come to a special feast that you're preparing this evening? Absolutely. He said, hey, call Haman in. And Haman came in and he said, Haman, you hear what's going on? We want you to come tonight to a royal feast, me, you, and Esther. Woo! Haman was so happy. Not only was he going to destroy the Jews, but now he was in with the crowd. It was just him, Achashverosh, and Esther. But Esther had a plan. And that night when they sat down for the feast, Achashverosh said to Esther, Esther, what would you like? What can I do? Because half of the kingdom belongs to you. I'll give you anything you want. You are so beautiful and I care so much for you. And Esther said to Achashverosh, if it befits you, my sire, I would like you and Haman to come to another party tomorrow night. Sure! Hey Haman, you hear that, buddy? Another party tomorrow night. Me, you, and Esther. Man, this life is great. I love being king. And Haman thinking to himself, oh, it's so good. I love being prime minister. We are it. Esther, we'll love you. We'll be there tomorrow night, 6 o'clock sharp. And she leaves. That night, Achashverosh couldn't sleep. He was twisting and turning and he couldn't sleep. So he called in one of his royal pages. He said, hey, buddy, come here. Read me a bedtime story. Get the book of remembrances out. I want to hear a story. So the guy turns the story. He says, well, once upon a time there was a fellow Mordechai. And these two nefarious people, Bigsan and Sheresh, tried to poison you. And Mordechai came to Esther and they saved your life. And Achashverosh says, so how did we reward this guy Mordechai? And the page said, we never rewarded him, king. He never received anything for it. So Achashverosh jumped out of bed and he walked into his garden. At that exact moment, Haman was coming from his house to ask the king, listen to this intrigue, to ask the king to hang Mordechai on a gallows that he had built 50 cubits high. So Haman's feeling really good about himself. He's walking in the royal garden and Achashverosh couldn't sleep and he's thinking, how's he gonna, he says, who goes there? And Haman says, it's me, Achashverosh, it's me, Haman. He says, come forward, I have to ask you something. Tell me, Haman, what would you do to someone that you really, really like? So Haman, being the arrogant fool that he was, thought, of course Achashverosh is talking about me. He said, I would take a royal horse, a fine steed, white. I would dress it up in royal clothing. And I would dress the guy up and I would put him on the horse. And then I would have someone walk him around Shushan proclaiming, this is what the king does to someone he favors. And Achashverosh says, great, I want you to take Mordechai and do that. Don't leave anything out. Mordechai? What? But this is the king. So reluctantly he goes out and he finds his arch enemy Mordechai sitting at the gate of the palace. He has to take Mordechai, put him on the horse and walk around with him all over Shushan proclaiming, this is what the king does to people who he favors. Oh, Haman is really angry. He is really, really angry because not only did he not get his reward, but he had to take his arch enemy, the Jew Mordechai, and parade him all over town. That night, they came back for the feast, the second feast. This time, Haman wasn't feeling so good because all day he spent parading in Shushan. And then Achashverosh turns to his middle of the meal. Achashverosh turns to his beautiful queen Esther and says, Esther, what could I do for you? And Esther says, sir, there's a man here in the kingdom that is trying to eliminate and kill me and my people. Who is it? She says, it's none other than that Haman. Your friend Haman is trying to kill us. Haman is trying to kill you? And Achashverosh is burning with anger as he walks out into the garden. And at that moment, Haman, to plead for mercy for his life, falls on Esther as she was laying on her royal couch. And the king walks in and sees Haman sitting next to him, Esther, and he says, whoa, do you mean to come here to the palace and to capture my queen here in my own home? And one of the pages says, hey king, he just put up a big gallows and I think let's hang him. So Achashverosh said, great idea. Take that Haman, that bum, and hang him on that 50-cubit gallows that he had prepared for Mordechai. And that night, Haman was led to the gallows and hung. Achashverosh pulled the royal ring off his finger and he put it onto Mordechai's finger. And he said, you, Mordechai, are my new friend. Mordechai fell down in front of him and said, Achashverosh, I need your help. You don't understand. A royal decree went out last year that is going to eliminate on the 14th day of Adar all of the Jewish people. So Achashverosh says, you have a right to arm yourselves and I will help you arm yourselves to defend against those people that are going to try to harm you. And Mordechai organized a brigade of people all over the kingdom. And they fought and they fought and they fought, and they were able on the 14th day to save themselves. And that, my friends, became a wonderful, wonderful holiday, because it showed that God was watching over us. And that fellow Haman, who when we say his name on the night that we retell this story every year, we go, boo, boo the bum, boo to the bum Haman. We want to blot out his name forever and ever. And Mordechai and Esther walked around the kingdom and they put out some decrees. And they said, because God was merciful to us, because God cared about us, and he watched over us like he watches over the apple of his eye, and he wouldn't let the wicked Haman take advantage of us, we proclaimed the 14th day of the month of Adar a holiday forever and after, for all generations. On this day the Jewish people shall be merry and rejoice, and they shall have a big feast in the memory of Queen Esther's feast, and they shall send presents to each other as a sign of caring for each other. And most important, they will retell the story over and over to their children, and they won't forget the less fortunate, the people that don't have anything, the poor people, the homeless people. And on that day there is a great chance to go out there to take advantage and to give presents and help those that are less fortunate from us. So on the 14th day of Adar this year, we will gather in temples and synagogues and homes all over this country, and we will retell the story of Purim, how once again God, in his absolute kindness to the Jewish people, didn't allow the arrogant, wicked Haman to destroy those people which God had taken himself out of Egypt. And we will celebrate. And as a matter of fact, I want to tell you a little secret, but don't tell anybody, please. It says in the good book that tonight, on that night of Purim, which Purim means a lottery because Haman drew a lottery out of his hat to pick which day he was going to destroy the people. That night it's a little mitzvah. A mitzvah is a commandment. We are encouraged to just to take a few drops of, you know, the good stuff. Just a little to get us a little bit happier than we do every day of the year. So ladies and gentlemen, this is not only a story that deals with the Jewish people. This is a story of salvation. This is a story of redemption for mankind. So on the night of Purim, if you're Jewish or you're not Jewish, take the advantage, be happy, be kind to people, and most important, love your neighbor, because God loves you. Because if he didn't, you wouldn't be around today. Have a wonderful day, a happy Purim to all of my friends. Thank you. God bless you. I don't know.
Much better, much better, much better.
Much better now? Yeah. Can you hear me, Paul?
Yeah, I hear you fine. I got that echo, but I don't know what to do about it. I'll have some better equipment for next time.
All right. Don't worry. The Lord is going to forgive you. But only this time.
Ask him for a new $5,000 camera.
That's it.
Hey, my wife hasn't divorced me yet, so you know I'm on thin ice though, you know.
You got to be careful. Mike's the man.
There we go.
There we go, brothers.
Rock and roll, baby.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Rabbi Speaks. My name is Rabbi Abba Perelmuter. I am the spiritual director of our congregation Shul by the Shore down here in Belmont Shores, Long Beach, California. Recently we had celebrated a holiday called Purim, a very joyous occasion. We had a great party at our synagogue. Children came all dressed up, and there was food, and there was fun, and there was music. And why did we celebrate this holiday? As I'd mentioned in the last episode, if you were watching last week, we talked a little bit about the story of Purim, how the wicked Haman, boo, tried to destroy the Jewish people because he was jealous of the relationship Mordechai had with King Ahasuerus. And how Esther, the beautiful queen, who was secretly a Jewish girl in the palace, had saved the Jewish people from total annihilation. And for that reason, my friends, we got together and we celebrated. But I want to talk to you today a little bit, not so much about celebration, but I want to talk to you about some of the lessons that we take from this story. Because there's a few interesting tidbits that you might not know unless you read the story. If you pick up your Bible and read the story of Esther, you will find a very interesting thing. Esther is unique in all of the books of the Bible, for it is missing something. There's an omission in the book of Esther. What is missing in the book of Esther? The one word that you probably find more than any other word in the Bible, which is the word of God. From Genesis till the end, it's all about God creating the world, God sustaining the world, God taking the Jewish people out, keeping them in the desert, God, God, God. And throughout the entire book of Esther, you take the Megillah Esther, you will not find the word of God once mentioned in this entire story. Think about that for a moment. An unbelievable episode took place over a number of years with a lot of different characters. It was a great miracle, and not once is the name God mentioned in the entire book. It's fascinating. It's unbelievable. How could this have possibly happened? Who were the authors of this book? Not to give credit where credit is due. Who was the cause of this great celebration, salvation? Of course, it was the Lord up above who took Haman and hung him up and saved the Jewish people. So why, my friends? Because you know me, and we've discussed this before a number of times. There's no coincidental. Certainly not in the Bible. How could there be coincidences in the Bible? No, my friends. If you believe as I do that the Bible is divine, that God himself had written the Bible and passed it on to us as human beings, you know that there could not be an coincidental in the story of Esther. It wasn't just that someone had omitted it. We forgot. Like humans often do. You lose your keys, you lose your shoes, you lose your pants every once in a while. Sure, that always happens. I forgot to do this, I forgot to do that. Your wife sends you on an errand. You forget to pick up the stuff that she really needed. All of these things are certainly by human frailties. But in the great book, there can be no omissions, but no frailties in the book. There has to be a purpose and a reason why the name of God was left out. Today, I'm going to discuss with you several possibilities and a lesson that we can learn in our own lives for daily living. The key question that we struggle with as rabbis and priests and other religious leaders and people, lay leaders, is what is the meaning of life? Why are we here? We come down to earth as a little baby, we struggle 60, 70, 80 years, we pass away, and then what happens? What is the meaning of all of this? 6 billion of us running around the world, and if we stood from a vantage point above, we would think that there's nothing ordered, there's no order here. We see people running here, we see people running there, there's lands of great affluence, the United States of America, there's lands of great poverty. Doesn't make any sense sometimes. We live in confusion. Why am I here? Does God really care if I'm here? 1 out of 6 billion? I mean, there are families that I know that have 15, 16 children. It's hard being recognized in a family of 15 or 16. Think about being one of 6 billion. And does God really care if I wake up this morning and I'm a good person? Come on. I have with us today in the studio 2 great people here, Paul and Mike, who are here. And together we make up 3 people of 6 billion. Now we can do a number of things here in the studio and we can joke around. Will have a great effect on our lives, on the great cosmic things that are going on. So what is the meaning of life, ladies and gentlemen? Why should we get up in the morning every day and be good and try to struggle to make this world a better place? Because I'll tell you, the Lord in heaven, in his ultimate kindness, created this beautiful world. Why? Because he wanted to prove a point. He wanted to show that he can create human beings like you and I. And we, with all of our idiosyncrasies, with all of our tendencies to be so self-absorbed, because we know everything is just me, 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 me. I mean, we have in the studio right now, as I mentioned, Paul and Michael, we have the great engineers that slave and work so hard day after day to make these great shows happen. And I'll expect to check a little later, Dan. Okay, but nonetheless, you know what? All of these things, why is this so? Because every one of us here has their own little idiosyncrasies and self-absorptions. We wake up in the morning and we think, oh, what is the world going to do for me today? What's going to happen to me today? How are you going to make this a better place for me today, sir? What are you doing for me lately, sir? And here, especially in the United States of America, where everything is centered about, we are rugged individualists. This country was built on people that came forth and everybody worked for themselves. We're individuals. And if you have to pull yourself up from the bootstraps, right, young man, you got to make it on your own. So right away, everybody thinks on our own, on our own, on our own. And who are our heroes today in the United States of America? Who is it? The guy that goes out there, the father of 4 or 5 children and works every day? Or is it the rock star or the movie star? I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it's tough. Some days it's tough here in the United States. But God in His love, because He loves us so much, He put us into this position where we can make a difference. Because He wants to prove that He can create a human being that seemingly is detached from Him. Because God can sometimes seem very distant up in heaven, and we are far away down here on earth. And we think to ourselves, oh, how am I going to make it? How am I going to make it? And God is not visible in front of us. Yet we have it in our hearts and in our souls, faith that we are going to make it through. And if we live by the rules and regulations and the blueprint that God gave to us, and the daily manual that God allows us to progress and to grow and to be the greatest people that we can possibly be. We were discussing before during a little break about how there's different tenets and different streams of religion. There's Islam and Christianity and Judaism and Buddhism and Hinduism, all different, and how everyone finds their path to the Lord. I want to talk to you on a perspective from Judaism's sake. And Judaism talks about the Torah, the book, the guide, the Bible that God gave to the Jewish people in the desert. And that book is our bloodline. That is the book that allows us to be who we are. When we open up the Torah and we read, that you shall do, this you shan't do, this you shall do, this you shan't do. This is the way to live a healthy life. And God did this for us. But He said, ladies and gentlemen, I am giving you the book. I'm giving you the blueprint. I'm giving you the source. You now have to go and do it on your own. I can't be there every step of the way. He is like a father who educates his children and says, son, you're now an adult. I've raised you. I've given you proper morals and ethics. I hope I've instilled upon you certain values. Now you need to go into the world and make your own way. I will always be watching over your shoulder, and I will be keeping an eye on you. And if ever you need anything, you can always come back to me. But you need to make the effort on your own to be the person that you're going to be, because you are not me. And God sends us forth on that mission every single day. When we wake up in the morning and the first things we say is, thank you, O Lord, for returning our soul to us. For today is another glorious day that I can make a difference in the world. That is when God smiles. He loves it when we on our own power go out there and we sit and we pray for Him to give us the strength, and we go into the world, and with all the hummel and the tumult that goes on, with everything that surrounds us from here and there, and we're able to rise above the din. We don't listen, we don't focus on the negativity of what's around us, but we strive to be the best that we can possibly be. Up in heaven, our Father smiles, and He said, I am victorious. I was right. Yes, I can. They can do it. They, with their own volition, can become strong and good and moral and ethical people. They can do it if they want to. Because we have within ourselves, ladies and gentlemen, the potential of being the greatest, the best that we can possibly be. And one of the stories, of the lessons of the story of Purim, and why God hid Himself in the story, so to say He was hidden, was because He wanted it to play out as a purely political intrigue. There was Mordechai on one side, and there was Haman on the other side. There was King Ahasuerus sitting on the throne, and there was poor little Esther sitting next to him. And Haman plotted and he planned, and Mordechai on the other side plotted and planned, and Esther came in as the savior in the moment. It all seems so natural. And doesn't our life seem the same way? I go out and I build a business. I am strong. I am powerful. I did it all. You ask a businessman, what was the number one thing for success? It was me. I'm the guy. It says in the good book in the Hebrew, I and my strength have made this for me. And when we look around the world, we see everything is so natural. Sure, it doesn't seem to have the hand of God in it. But we, people of faith, understand that it is not so. God uses these people. He uses someone like Haman, boo! And he uses someone like Mordechai and like Esther to bring his vision into the world, to bring him into the world. He only makes it look as if we ourselves are controlling and controlling the game. But really, up in heaven, God is like a puppeteer. And he's telling Haman, Haman, this is what you're going to do. And he's telling Mordechai, this is the next plan to do. If we listen closely, if we are conscious and listen, we can hear the whispers of the Lord to us too. And telling us, my dear friend, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go out today and I want you to help 3 homeless people. They are less fortunate than you. I want you to go out there and to help them. Because you think that by helping them, you're doing them a favor. You're making a big, big mistake. See, we think that by giving charity and doing good deeds, we are helping the less fortunate. You're making a big mistake, my friend. If you think that you can sit on your couch and just write a check and send it off and you've done that charity a favor, no. They have done you a favor. When you lift somebody up from the street and you put him on your shoulder and you bring him into your home and give him a good meal, he has done you a favor. Because he has allowed you to fulfill your own destiny that you were put here on earth. So the next time you give somebody, or you flip someone a quarter, you say thank you. Don't let him say thank you, because he's helped you, my friends. We'll be right back, so don't go away.
Was in another lifetime. One of toil and blood.
Bob Dylan.
But like the world about you, the road
That's right.
was full of mud. I came in from the wilderness, a creature void of form. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm.
If we do not take responsibility for saving animals from extinction, we allow a part of ourselves to die with them, because in the web of life,
If I pass
we are all connected.
you can rest assured.
Help World Wildlife Fund protect animals in the places where they live by ordering a free action kit. Together, we can leave our children a living planet.
3.
Give ya shelter from the storm.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We've been talking about several lessons we can learn from the story of Esther in the Bible. We talked about the importance of doing the best that you can be, because God allows us as human beings to soar, to fly like the eagles. Don't get stuck down with the turkeys, because it's hard. If you're dealing with the turkeys, you can't go up there into the heavens and be like the eagles. So release yourself. Look into the book. Read the book. Focus on the words and allow the words to come into yourself, into your life, to integrate them into your heart. I want to read one small passage here from the story of Esther, because I think it speaks volumes to all of us. We have a mission that we need to accomplish. Whether it's going to visit someone in the hospital, or whether it's going to work at a shelter, or whether it's going to do some other thing, and we don't want to do it. We're tired. We would like to sit back and take that remote control. Parenthetically, we have an obesity problem here in the United States. There are too many people that are overweight, including myself, and I'm the first to admit that. And you know why? I'm telling you, if we did a study, from the moment that clicker came on, I bet you obesity went like this. It used to be when I was a kid, I used to have to get off the couch, walk to the TV, change the channel, go back, sit down, get up again. Today, forget about it. The worst disaster that can happen in an American home is if they lose the remote. Where's the remote? I'm divorcing you. I keep telling you, I need the remote. You don't have the remote? Forget about it. That's just parenthetic. I'm not going to get too nervous about that. But I want to talk to you about a small passage in the story of Esther. This is at the point where Mordechai had just found out that Haman wants to destroy the Jewish people. So he goes to Esther and he tells Esther, my dear cousin, you are the queen. You must implore, impeach the king to stop this. This is unacceptable. Esther is reluctant. She knows that there are very strict rules in the palace. You just can't walk into the king whenever you want. He has to call you. So this is the exchange. And listen closely to the words, because I guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, Mordechai is not only talking to the historical Esther at that time, but he is talking to every single one of us, even here in the United States, far removed from the shores of Persia. He says like this: they related Esther words to Mordechai, that she was reluctant. Then Mordechai said to reply to Esther, do not imagine that you will be able to escape in the king's palace any more than the rest of the Jews. For if you persist in keeping silent at a time like this, relief and deliverance will come to the Jews from some other place, while you and your father's house will perish. And who knows whether it was just for such a time as this that you attained the royal position. Listen to those words, ladies and gentlemen, and let those words into your heart. What Mordechai is saying, you are resisting. You are not allowing yourself to grow. You have a mission that you must accomplish. Get out there into the world. Make the world a better place. No, come on, Rabbi. I'm a shy person. I don't want to talk to people. I just like sitting at home. I work all day. It's so tough. I have to deal with this nut and that nut and this monkey and that monkey. And it's all, I just want to come home and relax. I don't want to do anything. Listen to the words of Mordechai as he says, why are you resisting me? Why are you not out there making this world a better place? Who knows? Maybe that is the reason why you came down to this world, to help one individual. It might be a neighbor, it might be a friend, it might be a relative. And you sit there with your arms folded and you say, well, I'm too shy, I don't want to get involved. Your friend has a drinking problem. You know that. So what do? You sit idly by and don't say anything? Maybe that is the entire purpose Mordechai is saying, for you to meet that person. That is why God put the two of you together. For a moment like this, you must rise up. Don't be scared. Don't be shy. Don't be timid. Be bold and courageous. Think of who made this world great. It was the people that stood up and made a stand. They were not afraid of what other people were going to say. We're afraid. I don't want to do it, Rabbi. I can't. He's a good friend of mine. Yes, if he was a good friend of yours, you would intervene. You would go to him and sit him down, look him straight in the eye, because that is the reason why you met that person. And this is true for all of us in the things that we need to do. We like to escape because as Americans, we love entertainment. We are entertaining ourselves to death. We love to watch the gossip shows. We love gossip. And you know what more? We love when people of power fall. We eat it up. I don't want to mention any shows by name, but you know the newspapers I'm talking about. You know the television shows I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. We love those shows. We can't get enough of them. More and more gossip. Why? While we sit home and grow bigger and bigger on our couches. And listen to the words of Mordechai one more time when he says to Esther, this is the time for you to stand up. This is the reason why you attain your royal position. Not so you should be timid. Not so that you should hide in the corner, but you should be one that stood up and be counted. We have seen too many tragedies in the world. Too many times wicked people and evil people have stood up and hurt and harmed and killed and maimed innocent people. You know when they can do that? Only when the righteous people stand at the sidelines. Only when good people remain silent. Only when decent people refuse to take a stand, then these evil dictators and murderers can and have a platform for their evil intent and carry out their wicked designs. But when good and decent and honorable people stand up and they say, no, we will not allow this to happen. We will speak up, and we will speak up in one voice. I thank God every day that I live in the United States of America, because this is the greatest country on God's green earth. There are wonderful people in this country, but as wonderful as we are and as great as we are, we pat ourselves on the back, we still need to do more, because we are the true light unto the world. And if we sit back and we just watch what's happening in the rest of the world and we don't say anything, then what good is our honor? What good is our morality? What good is our decency? What good is our faith if we are not able to withstand those pressures from within inside of ourselves and sit quietly and acquiesce to what's going on around us? When we see injustice, think of the words of Mordechai. Yes, I'm talking to you sitting on the couch. I'm not talking to the government, and I'm not talking to the senators or the congressmen or any of those people. I'm talking to the average American person who can do better, who can stand up, who can act like Esther, that after she was given this retort by Mordechai, after Mordechai touched her soul, she didn't think twice, but she stood up and leaped into action and became the great heroine. And then we have thousands and thousands of Esthers in this country. Thousands of good, decent people that every day go out there and work hard and help each other. And that is the way we are going to sustain our society. We are going to be a great nation to the world because we will continue to do the things that Americans are famous for. Charity, lending a helping hand, going out of our way to help a neighbor. Those are the things that made us great, and those are the things that will continue to make us great, because that is what the Lord intended us to do. And when we read the good book and the story of Esther and Mordechai, and we allow it to integrate into our lives, and our children see that their dad doesn't come home every day and flicks on the television, grabs a beer and just sits there, but he cares and does something else. He volunteers, he goes out, he works at a food bank, he does something else. He cares more about the other guy than he does about himself. Then you know what happens? We raise healthy, happy, and normal children, because those are the children from families that grow up and understand that there is a commitment that our family has made to make this world a better place, both for us, our neighborhood, society, our country, and God. The worst thing that we can do is to waste away our time. That is a sin, ladies and gentlemen, that we can't get back. Time is the biggest thief. You ever know a time give back 1 minute? You ever know someone that got back 1 second of time? No, it never happens. Time steals and is a thief and runs away. And before we know it, we look in the mirror and we see the gray hairs, and the gray beard, and the droop, and the skate, and then we think to ourselves what we could have done. And those words, what we could have and we ought to have, could have been a contender, are the saddest words. So ladies and gentlemen, allow the words of the book of Esther to enter into your heart. Stand up, be counted, move forward, be an example. Don't be a follower. Every one of us can be a leader. You have it within inside of you. You think Esther was happy to do with Mordechai's bidding? You think she was prepared? You think she went to queen school? Nah, she was a timid little girl that ended up in a palace. We ended up here in California. I myself am from Montreal, our great neighbor to the north, and came down here to be in this beautiful, wonderful country. Many of us are not natural leaders. Many of us are people that like to follow. But even as a follower, we're not asking you to rebuild the world. The world is here. You don't have to be the creator. You have to be the sustainer. And that is what Mordechai was asking of Esther. Don't create the world. We're not asking you to build a Tower of Babel. We're not asking you to build arches and Roman Colosseums. We're asking you to live up to your destiny. We're asking you to be who you can be. There was once a great Hasidic rabbi that said, when I die and I go up to heaven, the heavenly court is not going to look at me and say, you know what? Why weren't you like Abraham? Why weren't you like Isaac? Why weren't you like Jacob, the great patriarchs in the Bible? No. They're going to look at me and they're going to say, why weren't you like Zusha? That was his name. Why didn't you accomplish everything you could have accomplished? Because God in His graces put you in a position that you could have influenced and touched so many different people. And what did I worry about? I worried about why my shoes are not shined properly, why the bus is running late, why this is happening, and I get nervous about all the petty little things. The story of Purim, ladies and gentlemen, is not only a Jewish story, it's a universal story. It's a story of people who rose up at a time when they needed to rise up. And what was the end of the story? The end of the story was that a great nation was saved. It could have been the Jews, it could have been somebody else. It could have been anybody in history, because good people made that happen. And from that story, we got 4 separate commandments, 4 separate things that we need to do on Purim. One is we read the story over again, because we needed to remind ourselves, we needed to tell ourselves that this is not a historical fact, but it is a fact, a story that happens every single day. We also had a great feast to share with our family, to sit around and to have family time. How many times do we not do that? We're too busy. I got to make another buck, another deal. No, your family needs time. Thirdly, was giving presents to our neighbors. Walking around the neighborhood and just sharing a telephone call, a something. And fourth, and probably most important of all, was helping out those less fortunate than we are. The disadvantaged. Those people, for whatever reason, they can make it on their own but need our help. Do we need to have the government helping them? They help. Sure, the government helps, but we need to help them as well. Because when we help them, we are helping ourselves attain our legacy, our destiny, and the goal that God put in front of us. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching today. I want to bless you that you should have a healthy, happy, wonderful life. God bless you. Love your neighbors because God loves you. And I'll see you next time. Have a good day.
Hashem